Hello, everyone. Glitch here and VK.
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of WealthLab Strategy Trading, where we talk about my trading systems, how we're doing, the meta strategy that I'm using. And I pulled up the meta strategy here. Let's see what's been happening in the past couple of days. We had a few days of a rally going on since this tariff kind of crisis. And we see now a small rebound. Let's run our meta strategy and see how it's responded to the most recent market events here. What do you think about what's been going on, VK?
Crazy times, very crazy. I mean, we get all this news here in Germany too. So I think, yeah, it'll be interesting. At least we got a little bit of a bottom here with swings up and down. It's not just like one direction. I think the market is waiting for, another thing coming up. So it could be either way, but I think there is some senses right now. So, but
Yeah,
hey, I'm
actually,
not, yeah, yeah.
I was talking to Carolina yesterday, and she asked me if I short the market ever, and
Yeah,
and I answered I don't, because the market has an upward bias, and I mean, with inflation and everything, like the market in the long term goes up, and I haven't found like a useful shorting strategy so far. And then I said, just like you said just now, I'm like, yeah, I mean, when the market goes down and then up and then down, I mean, that's fine. But like when it just goes straight down and it never goes back up, like kind of what's happened recently, then it's not so good for these kind of strategies.
yeah. But I mean, hey, you can. It's not always like you can win all the times. So I think that it's a normal behavior. It went down. It sort of looks now at that level. What's going on next, and those are the opportunities that you have, and then eventually there's a new decision. And even if the market goes down heavily, there's always like a couple of days or bars, let's put it this way, where it rebounds and you might get out of it. It all depends on what kind of strategy you have, but I totally agree. I've never seen a strategy that goes short and makes money over 20 years.
Yeah, I
Let's put
mean,
it that way.
maybe if you're day trading and you want a very short kind of time frame and you're responding to these, but I mean, I don't day trade. I just don't have the bandwidth to like sit in front of the computer and watch the charts every minute, like what would be required. So I mean, more my time frame is more days and weeks.
Yeah, the intraday is work, and it bounds you to the seats, and the time you go and get your coffee, then this move happens. So yeah, I've been there. I've lost my share. So now I would
Oh,
never.
do we need to tell that story to the folks at one point? Maybe not today.
Maybe maybe not today, but I mean you've been live with me, I think, during that period, and
Yep.
yeah, it's I'm totally aware. It was fun when I made money, but it was devastating losing money. So and you can be right 3 months, 6 months, and then you lose it in 3 weeks. So and more and more.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So we don't have to tell the story now, but end of day is nice. You place your orders, you watch it the next day. You don't have to worry much, and it's not much work. But if you sit there the whole day, then it's work, and then you want to be paid for. But those strategies will work. And how did we do? So I can see this
Well,
the final.
I mean, we
Yeah,
we run this over the most recent 3 years. That's our kind of window that we show in this series. So we are at an annualized return of 23% with the benchmark SPY at an annualized of just under 10%. So I always kind of look at the drawdown curve now at this point, because we're in this like large drawdown. And let's zoom in. So with the most recent rally, we're sitting now at like about a 7% drawdown in the strategy, whereas the benchmark is sitting at a 12.5% drawdown. So we're still doing better than the strategy, but we are still recovering from that drawdown. So yeah, that's where we're standing. I also like looking at the periodic returns. So you see last month, this devastating month when this all happened, and now in April, we're starting to recover a lot of those losses. So looking pretty decent for April, I would say.
Yeah, it looks good, and I wouldn't be surprised if we at least see the -7 or 8% what the meta strategy is right now to recover to zero, and then hey, you never know.
Well,
And
yeah, I
this,
mean,
yeah,
it'll happen eventually. It may take a while. So as we churn through all of this, but I mean, what really hurt this strategy was this just relentless, down move without any, kind of like normal rebound that we see, which these types of strategies rely on. But that's where we are. I mean, it's not looking too bad. We've kind of have a little bit of an upswing here, but yeah, we'll see what happens going forward, and we'll see how long it takes us to claw back out of this drawdown completely.
yeah, and I mean it's a good recovery already, being down to what 340 and now being at 370. You regained 10%. So yeah, I'm confident too. Might take some time.
So yeah, I was thinking of what to do for the future of this series. There are still two strategies left to cover in the meta strategy, but then after that, I want to talk about Guy Fleury's variation of the 1% a week. I think we can cover that in one of them and see if we want to even replace our 1% a week with one of his modifications. Then we could talk a little bit about position sizing. Does reducing position size during highly volatile times make sense? But for
Mm-hmm.
now, let's talk about one of the remaining strategies that we haven't covered yet. And it's actually a shorting strategy.
It's a long strategy. It's shorting the shorts.
Yeah,
So
it's a strategy that shorts SQQQ. So SQQQ is the triple leveraged inverse ETF of the NASDAQ 100. And I guess we can just pull up a chart of SQQQ, which will show us why it's a good idea to short this symbol. Okay, yeah, let's change the scale to like monthly here, so we can get the whole like thing on one chart. So here's like the full chart of SQQQ, and I'll hide those dividends. So yeah, I mean, you could see that over time, like this is just sank down like a rock thrown into the water. So I mean, generally, just shorting this thing at for a long term is typically like a pretty good strategy. Of course, you do have some drawdown periods here when the bear markets kick in, but just like the market has an upward bias, this inverse ETF has a downward bias, and that's why this strategy was actually generated by the WealthLab 8 strategy evolver. When I ran my evolver on SQQQ, it came up with this strategy to short SQQQ. So let's open it up here. So here is the SQQQ Shorter Strategy. And we are going to run this on SQQQ, all data, 100% of equity. In the meta strategy, it uses 5% of equity, which is the normal kind of allocation that I use. But here it is running on all data SQQQ. It has an annualized return of 18.5%. And here's the equity curve. Doesn't have that many trades. I mean, SQQ's only been around since 2010. But with that downward bias in SQQQ, so shorting SQQQ has proved profitable. And it's a profitable contributor to the meta strategy. With this recent kind of tariff chaos, it even did have a trade here, which it entered, and then it experienced some heavy drawdown. But then it ultimately actually closed with a profit. So if we look here at the last trade entered in October 2024, finally exited in March 2025 for a 2% gain. At least it didn't lose money. So here was the entry, and here is the exit. So that was the most recent trade. And as we go back, we can see some of the other historical trades.
Oh yeah, and in case anyone wonders, because it's shorting, so that's why if it goes down, if the market goes down, that's when you make profit. It's exactly the opposite direction.
Yep. Let me try to find the, okay, here's the exit of that previous trade. So this one was a 65%
Huge profit.
winning trade. Here is a 16% trade. So it's generally picked, good times to short SQQQ. So here's a 72% gain. So that's SQQ shorter. It's the one shorting strategy that's actually a long strategy, like you said, that I have in my meta strategy. I mean, it may be worth trying to continue the effort of finding a good short strategy for other candidates. I mean, it's something we can put some effort into possibly.
Yeah, as I said, I've never seen anyone or anything except if it's highly over optimized, then you can find something, but it's very difficult to predict when is the market going down. We've seen crazy times the market didn't go down, and we've seen normal times when the market went down. So hey,
Yeah.
we got to
Yeah. I
put some
mean,
effort in it.
I think, looking for these kind of parabolic moves might be something to, I always kind of have that in the back of my mind, trying to detect like a parabolic blow off
Mm.
move, but something to consider. Maybe we'll think about that for the future, but we have a couple of interesting things coming up, and we've got one more strategy to reveal next week, and then the full meta strategy we'll put out there, and then we'll talk about going forward, how we can improve or change what we're doing to try to get some more edge.
Yep,
All right. And
cool.
VK, good to have you back in action.
Yep, good to be back in action. That's that's a good thing. Makes me extremely happy.
Cool. All right. I guess that's a wrap then, huh?
Yep. Talk to you guys then.
Yep. Thanks for watching, everyone. We will see you all on the forums.